Blaine from Hattiesburg, Mississippi hit us up. He said, do you agree with Cole's take, I assume Kublik, that Kiffin quit on Ole Miss? You may be wondering, what take is he talking about? So I'm going to play it for you. I think this is from McElroy and Kublik, which is a radio show I listen to every morning, by the way. It's local in Birmingham, but really it's a national college football show. So this was a couple of days ago. Kublik just woke up in an ornery mood and decided to go off on poor, innocent, defenseless Lane Kiffin. Let's take a listen.
You don't leave your team before you're going to the playoffs. You can't do it, man. You tell LSU, I'm sorry, and I hate it. I wanted to be your head coach. You tell Florida, I would love to coach the Gators, man. It would be so cool to run out there in the swamp and lead that team out there and do what Spurrier did and do what Urban did and be the next guy there. But you know what? I can't do it right now. I can't. Call me when the next guy fails.
They'd wait.
That too. It's like you're trying to force your leverage on Ole Miss. Why don't you force your leverage on LSU?
Yep.
I don't disagree with anything that they said there. I haven't disagreed with most any opinion that's been offered on this. It's really one of those classic college football conundrums, if you will, because I think everyone's kind of right. You could come at me and say, Lane Kiffin 100% should have taken that job any way he wants to if he wanted it. And I'm like, yeah, that is his right. And then Kublik could come in, backed by McElroy, and say, you know what, he quit on his team. Yep, he sure did. And then someone else could say, well, they wouldn't let him coach his team in the playoff. That's correct. And then someone else could say, well, you know, there was one surefire way that he could have coached the team in the playoff. Stay at Ole Miss. Yup. All this stuff I agree with. And then someone else could come in and say, yeah, the calendar's a mess. It's a shame that anyone has to deal with this. Yup, that's also accurate. And then someone else could come in and say, stop making the calendar the scapegoat. These are adults making tens of millions of dollars. They ought to be man enough to stand by their word. And I'm like, yup, that's valid. I don't disagree with any of this. I don't really know how to feel, because normally there's a very, very clear side. It's not normally this gray. Normally it's pretty white and black. I will say this, though. All right, so they said something at the end there that I don't think was feasible. Like he said, you shouldn't have quit on your team. Like you should have just seen it through. Now, what you could have done, paraphrasing here, is he said, hey, quick time out here. Are you subscribed to the channel? It doesn't cost anything. It's free. Please do it. It helps us maintain the show at this level. That's it. That's all I got. Back to the clip. You could have just waited and told LSU, I'm going to see my season through, then I'll take your job. And he said kind of, if you wanted it bad enough, McElroy said, you know, if they wanted you bad enough, they'd be willing to wait. Well, yeah, LSU would have been willing to wait. Even today, LSU would have no problem with him going to coach the playoff. Of course, they would have no problem with it. It's the Ole Miss side that had the problem with it. And it was never going to happen that way. It sounds reasonable, but practically it couldn't happen that way. Think through that for a second. The LSU job's vacant. You know a bunch of people want the job, and yet you mysteriously go well into December and you haven't filled the job. Like Penn State right now. Imagine if that was LSU. No one would call LSU desperate. They would know they're waiting on someone. And they would know who someone it is. They would know it's Lane Kiffin. And Ole Miss is not stupid, so they'd know it too. And Ole Miss would say, no. Tell you what, if it's not you, sign this contract. Sign this piece of paper we're putting in front of you. And if Lane Kiffin said no, then you suspend him with pay. But you're not letting him ride it out there while all the while, for all you know, recruiting half your roster away. You're not doing that. You're not stupid. It's just semantics at that point. Okay, whether the LSU job has been offered to him or not, or whether he is seeing the season through, that wasn't going to happen. And the other thing you could have done, if you wanted to make that happen, the only thing you could have done, actually, is retained Brian Kelly. That's the only thing you could have done. You could have retained Brian Kelly, run a very, very airtight, super secret back channel coaching search where you let it be known to Lane Kiffin and his reps, our job's going to come open. It's going to come open after your season ends, whenever that is. And if that needs to be in January, we'll hold on to Brian Kelly through January. Therefore, we'll be able to lock down a recruiting class. If we need to go all the way through the portal window, we'll go through the portal window. And then when your season ends, we'll fire him and we'll hire you. That's the way it could have happened, but it didn't happen that way. So the moment Brian Kelly was fired, there was no world, no matter how you spread the icing over the cake, where Lane Kiffin was going to be able to finish his season at Ole Miss, including the playoffs, and still take the LSU job. If the current situation is as is, it just becomes obvious what's happening. So, yes, of course, in a perfect world, you could have seen it through. And in a realistic world, LSU would have loved that. Ole Miss was never going to allow that. So if you think he quit on his team, it's because he did. He did quit on his team. And if you think that's unethical or that's hypocritical, it's because it is. At least hypocritical, if not unethical. And if you think that a disproportionate amount of criticism has been slung towards Lane Kiffin when people like John Summerall are also in this position, that's true. It's because Kiffin's a much bigger name and he handled it way differently than John did. And if you're of the opinion that, well, hey, he's an adult, he can make any decision he wants, you're absolutely right. And if you think the LSU is a better job and you should take it whenever it's offered, that's fine for you to feel that. My point is you can feel any way you want to about it. It doesn't matter how you feel about it, nor does it matter how I feel about it. It matters how Lane Kiffin felt, and we know the answer to that. But I guess it's all going to come down to your personal preference, sort of your personal college football worldview. That's what it's going to come down to. And we know Cole Kublix, and on a slightly related note, we will have him on the show Thursday. Maybe we'll Zoom Lane in as well. Just a nice little 3-box. And Lane's I'm told he's pretty busy right now. Quick Trip has fueled us. They are amongst us. They are our people. And if you don't believe me, you ought to go follow Quick Trip on Twitter because, look, they basically act as if I'm running their account. And I'm not. But QT Joe, Quick Trip Joe, good close friend of the program, our ambassador to Quick Trip, if you will, or Quick Trip's ambassador to Pate State. Really sharp. You know what else he has? Cold brew on tap. Very competitive prices at the pump. And also world-class trail mix. And also some food right off the grill. And a smiling face at the checkout counter. We appreciate Quick Trip. They'll take us right down to Atlanta, Georgia this weekend for the SEC championship game.